What's up, everybody? It's your boy CS Motivated Minds. So this whole Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese thing has died down. It's kind of come and gone, and no one's really talking about it anymore. When the topic was hot and heavy, you check social media and all in the streets, this is what everybody was saying.
It's cool when they do it. It's a problem when I do it.
Y'all know what he's talking about, right? How one can do something and the media and society as a whole, is in love with one who does a certain thing, but then when the other does it, everybody want to get critical and the media is all on it and they have something to say. Y'all know, something like this.
Catch me outside, how about that?
They made her famous actually off of that. But when little Kiki and them do it,
I'm too hood, I'm too ghetto. Y'all told me that all year.
it's a problem. And them folk always have something to say. I really don't want to rehash this story because everybody's kind of talked about it. And some may say, well, we beating a dead horse.
Gotta keep beating it. Why?
Because guess what? That horse is not dead. I can't even say that it's being resurrected because it never died in the first place to be resurrected.
What is you talking about?
What I'm talking about is the fact that we constantly see grown men, them folk, coming and attacking young black women. We see it all the time. Do y'all remember this? So let's just jump into this real quick. So my whole issue about this is the fact that you had these two grown men making negative comments when Angel Reese did the whole, you can't see me, to Caitlin Clark, but totally ignored the fact that Caitlin Clark not only did it to one of the Louisville players, but the total disrespect that she showed during the South Carolina game.
Watch Caitlin Clark, left side. She doesn't even look at her. Waves her hand as if to say, I don't care about you. I'm not defending you.
Now, I don't blame her at all because what I understand is it was all in the spirit of competition. My issue is the fact that these two adult men took it upon themselves to say something to this young lady, but they remained silent when the other young lady did it. And matter of fact, the other young lady did it first. For Keith Olbermann to call her an effing idiot. To me, that speaks volumes. And to me, that says something about him. And for David Portnoy, founder of Barstool, to come along and to say this. But yet you said nothing about Caitlin Clark.
I fundamentally deny, and I think you're basically lying if you're saying what Caitlin Clark did and Angel Reese did are the same thing. They're not. I like trash talking. If you hit a big shot in the moment, or you're talking in the moment, back and forth, and you do this or whatever, you talk, I don't care. That is not what Angel Reese did. Angel Reese, they were up 15 points. We have a side-by-side. She followed her after the game was over, doing this to her, doing this. Find me one example in any sport of anybody after somebody wins a championship, confetti coming down, not in a close game, and find me a player stalking the best player on the other team. It does not exist. It does not happen. If a man did that, he would be called classless, and nobody would be saying anything.
Yep, that's a typical response to justify his words. That's really not what happened. Because one, there was time still on the clock. Two, she did not stalk her. But that's what people do. They use words that are very insightful.
So you might say, well, what's your issue? My whole issue is that this is not new, like I stated earlier. There's a history of this. Y'all don't believe me? Okay, let's talk about it. 1918, Brooks County, Georgia.
You didn't just go there.
Yep, I went there. There was a young lady who was believed to be between the ages of 19 and 21, depending on which accounts you read, because her birth date was in question. She was lynched by an angry mob. She was 8 months pregnant, by the way.
This ought to be interesting.
Story goes like this. There was a plantation owner by the name of Hampton Smith who was murdered by one of his plantation workers. They didn't know who did it. So what'd they do? They went throughout the county snatching up everybody. Over a 2-week period, they had lynched a total of 13 people, one of whom was a man by the name of Hazel Turner, who was Mary Turner's husband.
And Mary Turner said that if she ever found out who committed these crimes against her husband, she was going to swear out a warrant and have them arrested. The mob went insane at the impudence of an African-American woman daring to challenge them.
Let me tell y'all what they did to Mary Turner. She fled and they eventually caught her. They got her, they strung her up by her feet. Told y'all she was 8 months pregnant. Somebody within the mob decided to get a knife and cut her unborn baby from her womb. The unborn baby fell, hit the ground. Somebody in the mob decided they were going to stomp on the baby's head, crush the baby's skull. But they weren't done with Miss Turner. They doused her with gasoline and oil, set her on fire. If that wasn't enough, they cut her down, strung her up by her neck. Still wasn't done with her. They shot Mary Turner over 100 times and left her there.
Now, you know them folk gonna say that happened in 1918.
Okay, so why don't we step up to more modern times? Anybody remember this?
So I watched the basketball game last night between a little bit of Rutgers and Tennessee, the women's final. That's some rough girls from Rutgers, man. They got tattoos and some hardcore hoes. That's some nappy-headed hoes there. I'm gonna tell you that now. Man, that's some. Ooh.
That was good old Don Imus in April of 2007, making comments about the Rutgers female basketball team who had played Tennessee that year for the national championship. And of course, true to form in textbook fashion, he apologized. But you know what's crazy about that is that there were people who came out and defended him. His defenders and he himself, you know what they did? They pointed out the frequent use of the words "hoe" in rap music, as a source of the problem. He argued that he was merely using the offensive language that was commonplace in the world of hip hop, which is the textbook excuse, right? There was no call for him to even say anything like that towards those young ladies. So basically what they did was they put the blame everywhere else but where it belonged, directly on that individual. I bet there's some people still not convinced. So let's step outside the world of sports. Okay.
We're going to get straight to some video. We're getting in moments before a gas station attack in Arlington. This video is from the state attorney's office. You can see what appears to be two people arguing in front of a cash register. Then moments later, the woman knocks something off the counter, and that's when that man in the video throws a punch. We're told the man in the video is Kevin Williamson. He's charged with felony battery, and his bond is now at $50,000. He was arrested yesterday following the charge being upgraded to a felony.
Y'all see that? Now, that was May of 2022. Is that modern enough for y'all? Is that recent enough? Because I know some people will say, well, man, you talking 18, 19, 13, and all this stuff. Are you talking 2007? Okay, well, how about 2022? When he went to court, he said that she hit him first. But the video doesn't show that. Now, the video shows her knocking something off the counter, which was one of his, that was a beer or something, I think they said in the report. Oh, and by the way, that was right here. That was here in Duval County. But my question is,
Where them thugs and where them killers be when stuff like this happens?
I'll tell you where they be at. They probably down on the creek somewhere, but this happened in Arlington. So they was probably somewhere putting a bullet between somebody's eye to look just like them. That's where they be. It's amazing, though. They can never be anywhere when this stuff is going on. I'll tell y'all something else about that. I guarantee you when he got down to the Duval County Jail, Ray and Mookie and them ain't lay a finger on him. That's pretty good. But how about one more for those that still don't believe? Bet. I call that.
New tonight, a Charlotte woman is speaking out after her business was vandalized in what she calls a racially motivated attack.
Angel Pittman says she's loved doing hair since she was a little girl. She dreamed of transforming her buses into a salon, but instead they were damaged, and she believes it's because of the color of her skin.
But I did not ever picture that to happen to me. You know what I'm saying? I was just like so happy-go-lucky, and then I was just like reality.
20-year-old Angel Pittman had a plan in motion to have her very own hair salon.
I had bought some land and I had bought some buses to put on my land because I wanted to have a tiny home out of one bus, and I wanted to have a salon out of 2 of my other buses.
She left the buses on her property in Salisbury, only to return a week later to this devastation.
I'm seeing all of these racial slurs, and then I'm seeing my glass broke. I'm like, this bus that I just bought, that I spent all this money on, now has all these racial slurs on it.
While her family waited for the police, she noticed a few more things in the neighborhood that made her uneasy, like these statues in KKK robes.
When I first went down there, they didn't have all them symbols, them Confederate flags, none of that stuff. They didn't have any of that stuff.
She also recalled an uncomfortable encounter with someone in the neighborhood.
He said, well, get the F off my lawn. We're not even on your front yard. We're on the street. He already was ready. He had his gun out. Whipping your gun out at somebody, that's dangerous.
The man who had this encounter with Pittman claims to not have recognized them, which is why he acted that way. However, he says he knows who vandalized the bus. Despite that claim, no arrests have been made since the incident in September. Pittman says since they couldn't remove the word, they painted the bus black. She is toying with the idea of adding inspirational words all over it, just like she has on the wall of the space she is renting to continue doing hair. Pittman says her goal now is to raise enough money to get a new lot of land, but this time in Charlotte.
There's a lot to unpack in that last little article that we saw, but the gist of it is this. This young lady bought some land in Salisbury, North Carolina, with hopes of, like you saw, opening a mobile salon, plus she was going to have a tiny house in one of the buses. However, her neighbor, one, decided that he didn't want her there. And then somebody vandalized the buses, which, you know, they don't know, but they think it was him. But the crazy part about it is she was on her property. So what gives him the right to try to run her off? It was hers. But again, we have seen that time and time and time again. And you can go back and you can look throughout history of that when we've tried to own something and have something, them folk came along and intimidated folks and ran them off. Those intimidation tactics have not changed. It is the same old, same old. And that's part of the point that I'm trying to tell y'all, that this stuff that we see in the media and what happened with like Angel Reese, that's not brand new. It's the same old, same old. You got these grown men attacking these ladies. It's well documented throughout history. Men, I want y'all to think about something. I want y'all to think about what they did to Mary Turner because she spoke out about something that was wrong in her words, enraged them. I want y'all to think about something. When you see the comments that was made about Angel Reese by Keith Olbermann and David Portnoy, I want y'all to think about when you see what was done to that young lady in that gas station store over in Arlington here in Duval County, and to that young lady that bought that property in Salisbury, North Carolina. I want y'all to remember one thing. She is your sister. She's your mother, your daughter, your girl. Better remember, it was the one who brought you in this world. Hey, this your boy CS with Motivated Minds. I just want y'all to think about it.